Welcome to Dublin Bricks. Last weekend I went to Dublin Brickcon. I believe it's only the second year that it's been held, and this year's builds were even better than last year's. Now, it's nowhere near the size of your Brickwell Chicagos or your Brick Fair Virginias, but for the size of the convention, there were some truly awesome builds here. Now, the first build I came across was this Egyptian build, and it was really impressive. The attention to details was really cool. The cut section of the inside of the pyramid was really effective, and also the actual little details and storytelling they put into it. Love the crocodile with the arm sticking out. The zoo was another impressive build. The longer I looked at it, the more I noticed, and the part usage on this mock was amazing. Using Wolverine claws for the roof effect on a hut was really effective. And I also love the way they've used pistols and scissors as decorative parts on the main building. Again, it's really effective part usage, and it's things like this I need to be sort of taking notes of for when I come to doing those sort of details on my Gotham mock. The storytelling on the mock was really good. You've got a married couple there on a balcony with the photographers and guests looking up whilst they look down. And again, the balcony, the use of the droid arms and using the wedge plates instead of using slopes was again a really good technique. Having those studs on the plates exposed just adds that little bit more detail to the build. Really good work there. Now, Star Wars was a very popular theme at BrickCon, and there were so many builds there. There were numerous vignettes here, and I think once I've completed my Mandalore mock, I'm going to start doing some of these little builds as well. And I've got a couple of ideas for a couple of future build series, which I think should be good fun. But yeah, again, these little builds, you can just spend ages looking at them, and the attention to detail is so good. Now, this Hoth-like mock reminds me so much of my childhood. The MLC3 light tank was spot on. It is so much like the Kenner toy that was brought out back in the 80s. There was a large Endor mock there of an Ewok village overlooking the bunker that you see in Return of the Jedi. And I've never seen so many variants of Ewoks in person before. I'm really hoping that they re-release Endor sets one day. All we seem to be getting is Wicket at the moment, and it'd be nice to see more, because Endor, again, is another mock that I would love to do. There's so many iconic scenes that you can recreate, and I would love to do that. No idea what this Dalek was doing in the mock, but it was still a cool little build. There were numerous Star Wars helmets and heads here. The best ones, General Grievous, the Admiral Akbar was also really effective. But the General Grievous one, that's one I would love to make one day. I've tried to get as many pictures from as many different angles as possible so I can recreate it. Cad Bane, again, another really effective looking build. I'm really hoping that LEGO continue to make these helmets. I know they're not everybody's cup of tea, but for me, some of them just look so good. And there are obviously so many different ones out there that they could be doing. There were a few versions of the Millennium Falcon on display, all by the same builder. And the Steampunk one, that looked really good fun. Now, this large Star Wars display of an Imperial attack on the Rebels was so impressive just purely due to its size. It looked to me like all the vehicles were actual Lego sets as opposed to mocks, and I think it was the sheer number of minifigures on the build that made it look so awesome. I don't think this is based on any particular battles. You just had the Rebels with all their parked starships and Y-Wings on like a runway sort of area. And then you got the Imperials mounting an attack, and it must have taken them absolutely hours just to get all of those minifigures set up. But when you stood back and looked at it, it was so impressive. This life-size 332nd Ahsoka Trooper, again, stood out from across the room. It just instantly drew you into it. And you also had Ahsoka's lightsabers there, as well as the Inquisitor's lightsaber. And I'm surprised that LEGO haven't made more lightsabers. We've had a couple with Yoda's and Luke Skywalker's, which came as gift with purchases when you purchase the UCS 8080 and the Cantina sets. But again, there are so many options out there. There's so many decent builds they can make, like the Inquisitor's lightsaber, which was really interesting looking. There were a couple of rebrickable models on display. One was using the Technic helicopter to make this impressive X-Wing. And then you also had a Venator, which was made out of an ATTE set. Again, great usage of the parts from just one set. There were a lot of superhero builds here as well, and these little vignettes were really good. I love the way that you've got the Superman here with the red beams coming out from his eyes. Great work on that one. Now this mock here was so colourful, and the details on the mock were absolutely amazing. You could spend hours and hours and hours looking at this mock and still not see everything. It was so impressive. Jessica really has done an amazing job with the build, and I just love the way that she's displayed the Flash. And the more you look at the mock, the more details you see in it. And I don't see there's any single part of this mock where there isn't some little Easter egg or detail put in there. And the creatures popping up through the road and pavement areas were just so effective. This build of the tiny backyard, again, just full of details on a small build. And the use of the small leaf elements as the grass was just so effective. And the tree, again, it had so many details on there. Such a good build. And another mock that used the same technique for the grass with using the leaf elements was this little football pitch. It's an interesting technique, one that I've never thought about using before. There were a couple of builds here that I recognise from last year, both Guinness related. This large manor had separate builds to the side of it, which were different rooms which you would have found within that manor, so it was a real life place. And you even had a Hoff-Wamper hanging out on the balcony, which I thought was a nice effect. There were some brick builder models on display here, which were really bright and caught your eye again from the room. This large Mario build was so cool looking. The one thing I love about going to a LEGO convention is seeing the different building techniques and part usage. This flower really caught my eye. The use of the Doctor Strange capes on this was so good. I wasn't sure what part they'd used to start with. Now, I'm not sure if this technique has been used in a botanical set or not, but either way, it's great part usage. Some really cool city builds here, and it's given me some great ideas for building techniques when it comes to doing more buildings within my Gotham City that I'm currently building. Now, my two favourite builds of Brickcon were these last two builds. The first being Superman's home in the ice from the Christopher Reeve Superman films. And the techniques and part usage again was so effective, it's so eye-catching, and it looked spot on from what you see in the film. The mock looked truly amazing from every angle. This last build of this large pirate ship, again, was so good. The surrounding completed the mock so well. The rock detail being so effective. And there were a couple of skeletons that just added that final little touch to the build. You got one that's just hanging off of the wall, and there's another one that's stuck behind a grill underneath the rockwork. But it was just such a nice little finish on there. Now, the boat, it looks like the hull of the ship has been made using 2x1 bricks and plates, and it gave it such a smooth and good and effective finish. And again, the sail, they've used the 2x1 modified round plates, and it's so much better than, in my opinion, than using plates and tiles and bricks like you see on the 3-in-1 set. Again, a very interesting and very effective technique. It instantly made me want to go home and make a pirate ship myself. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video. If you ever get to go to Dublin Brickcon, I would recommend it. It's a good way to spend a few hours just looking at some really cool LEGO builds. Anyway, take care. See you next time. Bye for now.